team march on. 11 wins in a row. Another 3 points in the UEFA Europa League. Danny Welbeck with the goal. Scored 12 minutes from time. A really clinical finish after a mistake by Sebastian Coates. Arsenal outright leaders of their group and almost into the knockout stages of the UEFA Europa League. It's finished in Lisbon. Sporting 0, Arsenal 1.
Well, another win for us, and we're back in the Arsenal Nation Live studio with our guests Adrian Clark and James McNicholas. And of course, in true Arsenal style, what a second half. And you guys at home have been sending in loads of love about the second half. Hopefully we can see that in the studio. We can't see them at the moment, so the tweets should appear for us in a moment. Just waiting for those to come up now. But don't forget, all of you can get in touch on all of our social channels, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Do make sure you're sending in those comments. We still can't see those in the studio, but when we can, we'll make sure we read some of those out for you guys. Here we go, we've got them now. Don't enter second half with this, Arsenal. You will not come out alive. Absolutely love that. We've got another one here. Arsenal in the first half versus Arsenal in the second half. I absolutely love that. That's brilliant. Please do keep all of your tweets and social comments coming in. Thank you to everybody watching on YouTube as well. Make sure you're commenting on there too. Guys, what do you make of those comments? Do you think that was fair, those comparisons between that little weedy man
like
and...
in the mirror, wasn't it?
What, the first one?
Left, yeah. No, it's weird, isn't it? It's hard to put your finger on it. It was almost as if, I think, tonight, that they went in at half-time and the manager probably said, these aren't very good. Sporting Lisbon, we step it up 5%, 10%, we'll win this easily. And they did. They did that. Physically, they raised their game. Everything was done a little bit quicker, at a higher tempo. And all of a sudden, we were creating some really good chances. I mean, 1-0 flatter Sporting Lisbon, really. I mean, their shooting was awful. They didn't deserve to score. But really, on the basis of that second half, it should have been 3.
Yeah, it definitely could have been more. Bernardo barely had a save to make in the game. And when you look at the chances we had, we could have been a more comfortable win tonight.
Well, let's talk about Mr. Welbeck then. Of course, he was our goal scorer this evening. A tweet here from Billy Howe. He says, Welbeck is better than Lukaku. Really pleased for Danny Welbeck. He's staying injury-free and scoring goals. Of course, that goal was his 5th of the season. He was unfortunate to have a goal disallowed earlier on in the second half. But he kept going, didn't he? And he got that goal. And he really deserved it, didn't he?
Yeah, and he might have had a hat-trick tonight, really. I mean, you think of that header that was disallowed. I thought that was a little bit harsh. And then there was that other chance where the ball was pulled back to him and his shot was goal-bound and deflected away. He's a player, his movement, his energy always creates trouble for the opposition defence. And tonight, I thought even in the first half, he sort of looked the man most likely with those runs in behind. Yeah,
I was impressed by Danny tonight. I thought that he worked ever so hard. You know, that's a prerequisite for Danny Welbeck, but he always looked threatening. You're right, it was really unlucky. It was a brilliant nutmeg from Guendouzi, wasn't there, inside the box. Pulled it back, and the defender's fortunate that the shot comes off him and goes wide. I didn't think that the goal should have been disallowed. Right. The defender slipped, in my opinion. It was very minimal contact. But on the finish, it will go down as a mistake from Coates, who sort of made a real hash of it. But Welbeck was there. He anticipated it, and he was really onto it in a flash. And then 1v1, a lot of players might have got flustered. We saw Aubameyang in a 1v1, try and get a bit clever with a little dink. But no, he just went hard and low. Boom. That's what Danny Welbeck does. He's quite a simple player in what he does, but on nights like this, he can be very effective.
He does it very well, yeah.
You mentioned Aubameyang there. Do you think all eyes were kind of on him this evening to get the goals, you know, his first start in some time? And actually, Welbeck was the one that came through and got us the win tonight.
Well, he almost scored. I mean, it was a great ball, wasn't it, from Aaron Ramsey to him, 1v1. And it was actually a brilliant save from the goalkeeper. He stuck his hand up. It was superb. It wasn't at his very best, Aubameyang, but it's no big deal. I don't think it's a performance that would dent his confidence or lower his stock.
Not at all. Well, I think there is something maybe in the fact that, you know, Aubameyang didn't score and Welbeck did. Generally, I think this Arsenal team looks better when there are kind of 2 strikers on the field, whether one's starting out wide or not. You know, if you think back to the Leicester game earlier in the week, we had Lacazette with Iwobi and Mkhitaryan on either side. I think when Aubameyang came on to join him, we looked better as a unit
I
going
think it's
forward.
a slight issue at the moment because Arsenal look better with Lacazette as the number 9 and Aubameyang coming in from the left. And it's not what the fans want to see, particularly they want to see that front two. But it just seems to work better with Aubameyang coming in off the flank. It's a strange situation. Up top on his own, he doesn't have that same presence that Lacazette has. I think that's something he needs to work on if he wants to play in that position when Lacazette isn't available. At the moment, if Lacazette isn't available, you'd maybe have a temptation to go with Welbeck and then Aubameyang off the left, just on the basis of style.
Yeah, I think we've got 3 great centre forwards in Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Welbeck, but they all look better with one of the others playing alongside them, or even not, if not right alongside them, out wide. I think it gives more balance.
Well, let's turn the chat to Torreira now then. Absolutely floods of comments coming in all about him. This is a comment here from YouTube. Torreira Terror, Network Media, obviously very impressed with him today. Another one here saying Torreira has arrived, and a Superman gif there. And look at the difference. Guendouzi has Torreira within yards of him always. Another tweet here, Torreira makes everything better. As you can see, Arsenal fans absolutely loving him, dominating this second half, especially since Torreira came on. Thank you to everybody who's sending in their comments. Please do make sure if you're watching on YouTube or any other platform, you continue to share your views with us. Let's get the thoughts of our studio guest then on Torreira's performance in the second half.
He's very good. You come to expect that, don't you, from Torreira? Arsenal were good in the second half without him. I think it's important to say that. The first 10 minutes, they looked a different team, in my opinion, and that was before he came on. But look, yeah, Arsenal got more of a grip of it, I guess, with him. He's a fantastic player. And Guendouzi, I think, did shine better alongside Torreira. I thought it was a real classy performance from Guendouzi. Torreira didn't do anything amazing, but his presence, I do think, lifted everyone around him.
Yeah, he just brings that element of security. And we spoke at half-time, didn't we? The fans were calling for him to be introduced. And I think, in some respects, they were justified because his use of the ball is so good. He gives that kind of vertical element to Arsenal's play. And I agree, he's a great partner. You know, other players seem to look more comfortable alongside him. Guendouzi, that's been true of. I think it's been true of Granit Xhaka as well.
Yeah.
He's a very complementary player.
We did joke at half-time that Unai Emery had been watching the Arsenal Nation live half-time show and had made his decision to bring Torreira on as a result of that. Speaking of Guendouzi, do you think it's his age that kind of is the issue here, or is it just the maturity that Torreira brings? What's the difference between
I don't
these
think
two?
there's an issue with his age. I think one of the most extraordinary things about him is how mature he can seem. There are moments maybe in his own half where he could be a bit more conspicuous with his use of the ball. He takes sometimes a little unnecessary risks, but you don't want to bring that out of his game entirely because that speaks to his confidence, and you know that's a huge part of his game. I think for his age, he's actually remarkably assured.
Yeah. Look, I played in Patrick Vieira's first ever game for Arsenal, not in the first team. It was a reserve game. And within 10 minutes, you could just see how composed he was, how comfortable. You could see he was a different level player. And for somebody young, and I think with Guendouzi, I get that same vibe. Maybe not the same. He's a very different player to Vieira, but for someone of his age, he looks older, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can pay Guendouzi. You think about his development; he should, in theory, continue improving for 7 or 8 years. Imagine how good he'll be in 7 or 8 years' time, playing with this quality of player, working with the manager. So it's exciting times for him and for Arsenal.
Very exciting indeed. Well, it's time to hear your thoughts at home on Guendouzi. Lots of you sending in your views. Let's have a look at some of those now. We've got one here from Henry. Thanks for sending your comment in, Henry. He says, I like Guendouzi. Could call me a Guendouziist. I like that. I think that might catch on. We're all Guendouziists here in the studio. Torreira was a game changer in our midfield. We've also been asking the fans who they thought changed the match. If we were going to put that to you guys, what would you say?
I don't think any one player changed it. I mean, I just think the mindset was better after half-time. Everyone stepped it up. I don't think it was one player. I thought there was just more movement from everybody. Everybody was running with a little bit more intensity. And as a consequence, Sporting Lisbon couldn't handle it. And suddenly, we were getting runners in beyond, and the chances were coming thick and fast.
I think there was more purpose about Arsenal's play generally. If I had to pick out one guy, you'd have to look at the goal scorer, Danny Welbeck. And I just think he's been a remarkably useful player for us this season, across several competitions, in several different positions. And I'm very glad we've got him at the club. And I think he's the kind of forward that Unai Emery will really like.
Yeah. Would you give him a new contract?
I would love to see him get a new contract. Genuinely, I think that he's such an effective squad player. Even if he's not starting every week in the Premier League, he's invaluable to us.
Yeah, provided Danny himself's happy with his current role as a bit part player, somebody comes in and out. Provided he is, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be.
If he can stay fit as
well.
well.
Yeah, and if he can stay fit, then I would like to see him stay because he's a good character. And as we saw tonight, he's a very, very useful squad player. Not an easy player for defenders to handle. There's a reason why managers have always loved him. Ferguson loved him. England managers have loved him. Arsene Wenger really, he played him whenever he could. He's got a lot of quality. He really has.
Well, we've got some more comments coming in now from our YouTube stream. Let's have a look at this. This is from Rune. He says, we will stay unbeaten till the 3rd of November. Then the real test comes. If we take out Liverpool, nothing is impossible. We can do it. We have the power and mentality. That's certainly going to be a big test for the side, isn't it? I mean, how long can this unbeaten run continue?
Well, I mean, we've got a tricky game this weekend, London Derby, Crystal Palace. But I do think the team deserve huge credit. They lost their first 2 games and they've won their 11 subsequent matches. That is a massive run. And it was easy to look at the start of that run at the fixtures and say, well, those are on paper winnable games. But to actually go ahead and win all those matches, rotating the team, keeping some players fresh, keeping some players back, I think it's testament to Unai Emery's management skills, really. And the Liverpool game, look, that is on the horizon and that will be a big test, but we couldn't really be heading into it with much more confidence.
No, exactly. I mean, do you want to go into that Liverpool game on the back of a dodgy run or do you want to go on the back of a long winning streak? Of course you want the latter. Liverpool won't fancy it. Okay, let's say they won't fancy it. They'll back themselves against anyone at the moment, but they will respect Arsenal.
It's a test for them too.
They will respect Arsenal, and I fancy us to score goals in that game. But can we keep them out? That's the big question mark. At the moment, I'd suggest we've got work to do in that department.
Well, only time will tell. Of course, Crystal Palace is this Sunday. Do make sure you join us for then. But we can't end the show without talking about this man, Mr. Robin van Persie. Of course, he was an absolutely fantastic servant to our football club. And loads of you have been sending in your tweets and comments of love for him. Gents, let me get your thoughts in the studio. How great was he for Arsenal?
He was a fantastic player. And I think maybe a little bit unfortunate in that his peak years, we lost a lot of his years due to injury, but when he was at his very best, he was playing for the club in a time where we weren't necessarily competing right at the top end of the Premier League. He probably didn't leave Arsenal with the amount of silverware that his talent deserved, because I think in terms of talent, he really did have it all.
Yeah, he was a classy player, wasn't he? He could play left wing, he could play up top, loved his left foot, loved his movement was top class. Yeah, he could have become an Arsenal legend. Unfortunately, for reasons that are obvious, he won't be. But he was one of our most talented players, and I agree. He played for an Arsenal team that wasn't as good as he was, and yeah, that was a shame.
Well, he was undoubtedly a top-class player, but the question is, do we forgive him for leaving?
I don't think I can, I'm afraid. It's not one of those where a player's gone back to their sort of boyhood club or, their hometown. He went to Manchester United, won them the league. I can't forgive him.
I did meet him a couple of times after he joined Manchester United, so I can't be two-faced. I didn't treat him badly. I was nice to him. Yeah. And he kind of tried to explain, what the score was. And I can't really forgive him. And I think I said this to him myself. I don't like the way he went about it. I think he went about the move completely the wrong way with his statement. But I can forgive him for leaving at that time because you only have one career, and he won a title winners' medal at Manchester United, and he was the star man in that title-winning side, and you can't take that away from him. So he did what was right for him, and I think we have to just respect that.
Well, of course, we wish Robin all the very best for his life after football. But now it's the end of the show. It's gone so quickly, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guests have been fantastic, as always, Adrian Clark and James McNicholas. But I'm not going to let you leave until we wrap up the evening in just one word, please, guys. We'll come to you first, Adrian.
I forgot we were going to do that. Excellent, excellent.
Nothing like springing it on you.
Excellent second half, yeah, happy days.
One word, 11. 11 consecutive wins. Very happy with that.
Do you know what? I like that. 11. That says it all, doesn't it? 11 consecutive wins on the bounce. And we are back in action again on Sunday. London Derby will head to Selhurst Park as we take on Crystal Palace. And as always, we'll be in the Arsenal Nation live studio. You can join us from 1 p.m. for all the analysis and chat surrounding the games. And of course, we'll get your comments on the show as well. But for tonight, that's it from us. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.